What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Wrestling Junkies podcast. I'm Mr. Cincinnati, and conspicuous by his absence is the podcast dad. He is working second shift tonight. Sucks to be him, but I love you. But you know what? The show's got to keep going, and I mean, wrestling isn't going to wait for us. So I had to call in some reinforcements. First up, all hail King Chris. He is making his triumphant return. I feel like I got to get you a theme song now. But also we've got Bryce Cannon, the Frat Daddy, in the house joining us once again. Gentlemen, welcome back. How we doing?
King Chris?
I'm this is the first time a king defers, so I'm deferring to the Frat Daddy.
I think we lost you. I think check your mic there again, bud.
This is the last time I defer to somebody. So
See, there you go.
I'm doing
the
perfect.
king muted me. He muted me. So that's why I said I wasn't going first. But no, I am doing well, about as well as I can be. So excited to be on here, talk some wrestling.
Yeah. So can you give us an update on the knee? I know that you had surgery recently. How we doing? How we feeling?
Good. Yeah. Today marks the 6-week period for me. PT is hell, but we're improving. So got some good news on Monday. So everything's in line, if not ahead. Got my little trusty steed here. So, like I said, everything's going to plan. So I can't be too mad at it.
That's good. Well, we love to hear that, and certainly can't wait to get you back in the ring. Your Highness, how are you?
It's another beautiful day in the kingdom. It's 75 degrees outside, no humidity. It's beautiful up here in the land of Connecticut.
Love it. Well, welcome back, everybody. Make sure that you're following the Main Event Network at mainevent_net. We've got podcasts, we've got blogs, we've got fan art, we've got comedy. We got TikToks if you're into that as well. So make sure that you're following us on all social media platforms. And also make sure that you're subscribing to our YouTube channel. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I think we're at 253 or something like that. So we've got a lot of work ahead. But that starts with all of you guys helping us out. If you know at least one person that would enjoy this show, please share it with them and let them find out for themselves what kind of community that we're building here. And then also support the merch store. As you can see, I've got a sweatshirt. I've got a mug. Mr. Cannon is wearing a Junkies t-shirt. King Chris is, trolling everybody right now, which is totally cool. That's fine.
The king needs to be provided. The king doesn't provide. So I need the gifts before I reach out.
Ooh, okay. All right. I guess I've known you long enough. That's fine. Anyway, gentlemen, it's the end of the week. Dynamite is in the books. We are also looking ahead to Clash at the Castle. Let's start with Dynamite here. Bryce, we talked a little bit through the show last night. Something that seems to be a recurring trend when it comes to talking about AEW is how great the pay-per-views are, but you almost don't have to watch every week of television in order to know what's going on with those stories, because of the performances that are put on when it comes time to have those blow-off matches. So take me through kind of your thoughts as you watch AEW as of late and what you think of, how they're building stories for their monthly pay-per-view schedule now.
Yeah, I mean, a week-to-week episode of AEW is one of those things that is very predictable. So it's kind of like I watch AEW strictly for the story promo segments, if that makes sense. Just because you see, you see a guy, I think, who wrestled Tony Nese last night? Wasn't it like Samoa Joe and Hook?
I think so. Yeah, it was a squash.
Nothing against Tony Nese and those guys, but they're constantly taking the L's. They're on TV and everything like that. So what on God's green earth is going to make me think that, they're going to do a Chris Jericho action Andretti with Tony Nese against Samoa Joe and Hook, who they're obviously building up. So it's just kind of very hard to watch, but it's wrestling. I think that they are doing a fantastic job, even though they're doing the blow off next week with like MJF and Roosh, because these are two guys that, Roosh, he is a powerhouse. I've seen him firsthand beat the ever-loving crap out of one of my buddies, Parker Lee, at a dark episode. And that's whenever he first started taking out the production cables and like just demolishing people with him. So Parker was one of the first ones to unfortunately have that done to him. I was glad I didn't get pulled for that match. Instead, I got demolished by Lance Archer, but that's a different story for a different time. But no, it's that storyline is great because they're literally just going out there and fighting. Not a lot of words are being said. Yeah, they have promo time, but it's the punches that matter for that. Whereas the matches, it's just kind of like, okay, we're just seeing another match just to fill TV time, when they could be doing that to either build talent or have more story building, if that makes sense. Like, I love AEW. They've given me opportunities, but it's very predictable.
Fair enough. King Chris, what are you thinking about this transition to the monthly pay-per-view schedule that seems to be the new norm going forward for them?
Well, I agree with the Frat Daddy. Like, it's hard to watch, man. Just this whole weekly thing. There's a lot of wrestling during the week. I don't mind it. I'm going in and watching everything. The King has to admit, I mean, it put me to sleep last night. You mentioned the stories. What stories? I'm not really invested as the casual AEW guy, just wanting to see good wrestling. It's fun. It's everything. But like you said, it's monotonous. It's the same thing, very predictable over and over and over again. I don't feel invested into the product right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, and Forbidden Door is going to be awesome. Dynasty has been awesome. They've been firing on all cylinders on pay-per-view this entire year, but it's Podcast Dad has said it himself too on this show is you don't necessarily need to watch every week in order to know what's going on. I don't know. I mean, it really just kind of depends on how people like their wrestling and whether they want more stories or more of the athleticism. I still think that they need to do a better job of marrying the two. I mean, they've definitely brought in a number of ex-WWE staffers, for lack of a better word, that help with production design and things like that. But let's not forget they also hired Jennifer Pepperman, who's was involved in that creative process for a very long time. And while it feels like they're kind of nudging in that direction of wanting to tell more stories, they just need to be a little bit more impactful and decisive about it, I think. But yeah, no, I saw probably half of the show, give or take, and then caught the rest of it on YouTube, just as far as recap clips, and I think it accomplished the same purpose. But one of the big stories coming out of last night, the Elite come out and have issued an open challenge for Blood and Guts. It's probably one of my favorite matches that they put on each year, just because it's Calamity, and I just love that you can expect Anarchy in the Arena every year, and Blood and Guts. So, King, I'm going to start with you. What are you thinking about this Elite storyline right now and where it's going as far as this eventual Team AEW blow-off?
It's fun to watch. I'm excited for the Blood and Guts. So I'm right there with you. More Calamity, more blood, more guts. Again, I like the promos. I like the setup for it. Just I need something more. Something's missing. Maybe it's the crowd involvement and the lack of crowd that doesn't get me excited every single time they come out. I know. I was watching, at least this has nothing to do with the Elite, but just when MJF came out, there was the pop initially, but I heard every single punch. I heard every single oof. I heard every single movement. That should have some, and everything else should have some heat within a raucous crowd. And again, in Iowa, but they like wrestling out in Iowa. So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for me to want to invest my time into it.
Yeah. Bryce, I want to ask you this. Of the three of us, you're the one that's in the ring more than us. So when you are just watching a weekly TV, what is it that you might be looking for, analyzing when it comes to the crowd, as far as what you might see from the standpoint of a wrestler?
It's funny you asked that, because I've always been one of those that have, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, whether it's wrestling, I've always looked beyond what the focus was supposed to be. I've always looked at fans and things like that. But what I'm looking at is, what are the fans doing? Are they on their phone? Are they cheering for the heel? Are they laughing at spots that shouldn't really be laughed at? God, I said I wasn't going to bring it up, But for instance, there was a spot first 15 minutes into the show, and you literally hear a fan go, "Oh, he's getting color." That should not be seen. That should not be, heard on TV. And I mean, I know there's a delay, and maybe it just wasn't caught. Maybe it was an error, but it's one thing that tends to keep happening on AEW television. Like, yeah, the production team may not know it's coming, but it's obvious. It's super obvious. Like, I can tell, okay, this spot's about to get color. And then it's like, you can tell once the production or the camera guy sees it, he's like, oh crap. And you just get that fast camera turn. But it's things like that. It's like the audience is paying attention to what you're doing. So you have to be very careful. But for me, I'm literally looking at fans just scroll through their phone in the front row. And it's like, okay, what do we do to fix that? I believe it was Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania looked at his daughter and literally told her, get off your phone, watch your daddy do work or something like that. And it's literally almost like you have to do that these days, because even at indie shows, there's going to be people on their phone. You just can't help that. People are, too into their phone these days. But it's how do you get these people to take that phone from up here to being like, oh, I need to get this moment. Yeah. Type deal. Get the phone out of their lap and get it up type deal. Get it capturing and putting you out there on their social media. So then others are like, oh crap, that was a pretty cool thing that they just captured. But the tricky part is you don't want them taking pictures of the things you don't want them to see either. So it's like a catch-22 there. But I was going to refer back to you saying that you love the setup for the blood and guts, because I'm going to disagree with you there. Okay. I hated it. It was so random. I hated that the heels are the ones that introduced the match. I felt like it would have gotten a bigger pop, even though there really wasn't any faces to set it up. And the whole thing would swerve. It just didn't make sense for the Acclaim to come out, and just because there's been no involvement with the EVPs in the Acclaim, I don't think. I could be wrong there. Really. I mean,
there's maybe been one interaction, but not compared to like what we saw in the build up to Anarchy in the arena.
Right. And you could call that a seed, but I'm gonna call it a mustard seed. Nobody really paid it attention. Like, it didn't mean anything when it happened, because like if it would have been FTR to come out there, two roughneck guys that just got their ass beat at the last pay-per-view by you guys issuing the blood and guts, I feel like it would have been a lot bigger. Like, look, you guys are in control, but we're making the stipulation this time type deal. Yeah. It was just so random for them to just come out and just, hey, blood and guts. Yeah. Where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, I mean, and I almost wonder if, much like we used to see towards the end of the Vince era, as far as these gimmick matches, that they're coming up at a certain time of year, much like we've started to see. I mean, we know the blood and guts is kind of their summer tradition. Chris, I'll ask you this. Do you think this is more of a square peg, round hole kind of situation, or do you think there's another way that they can get this story back on track?
I just think it's such a new concept. Like you said, this is that yearly thing, and they're trying to establish a yearly stipulation, like when Money in the Bank came out, same time every single year. And I think this is what they're trying to do, and that's how you build a company. That's how you build something to look forward to. So like you said, you know what's coming. I just think it's paint by numbers at this point, just trying to build that fan base and that excitement around a specific event.
And you can't get mad at AEW, because I mean, WWE is doing the same thing. We know Survivor Series is coming up. We know War Games. Everybody's already talking. Oh, Roman's coming back, gonna grab the Usos. They're gonna be the face team against the New Bloodline. Yada yada. It's like, unfortunately, I wish that it was a very random, not a pay-per-view set for this. Yeah. I wish it was, hey, this feud is so hot. This feud is so heavy right now. We have no other way to sort this out than War Games. We have no way to sort this out other than blood and guts. But instead it's hey, calendar says blood and guts needs to be next month. Let's go ahead. Let's randomly on Dynamite go, hey, announce Blood and Guts, and then not even really know who is going to be in it, you know? Like, yeah, that gives us an excited, who's going to be in Blood and Guts? But they also did that with the Anarchy in the Arena. It's the same setup. It's just a copy-paste type deal, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about it.
Yeah, and that's one of the concerns that I had. I mean, again, this is the first year of their 5-year history that essentially every month other than July is going to have a pay-per-view, and we're probably going to get the all-in, all-out set up within 7 days of each other again. That transition to, telling regular episodic storytelling to build to another event a lot sooner than you normally would. There's a pacing that comes with presenting those stories that, as much as I enjoy AEW pay-per-views, they still have some work to do in that area as far as, make me want to tune into the week to week to see what I'm going to get at this incredible event, but I digress. The last thing I want to talk about before we move on to Clash of the Castle is that standoff between Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. They are set up to go at it for the world title at Forbidden Door. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you point blank. Bryce, I'm going to start with you. Is it too soon for this match?
I don't think so. I mean, it's one of those inevitable things. Would I have liked to seen it be a world championship match with Will not having a championship? Yes. Just because then it gives us something to kind of bite on a little more. And I don't even know if the stipulation is for both belts. Is it a winner take all situation?
Just the world title.
Yeah. So it kind of tells us the finish there, really. Like, and it sucks that way because it's like, and that's the only thing with Forbidden Door too, is I would consider it like a pop-up pay-per-view. It's like, okay, who can I put together that's going to give us a banger? It's not really anything like, Will, he's done so much for our company. He could possibly take the title. He just won the international title. Yeah. Okay. I didn't want to say the other company's belt. But yeah, so he just won that. Like, he's got that to deal with. Why not have these two separate matches for both belts? Now we don't have to bring in more people for a random match type deal. So is it too soon in that aspect? Yes. But as far as bringing these two guys, it's not, because people want to see it. It's going to get them pay-per-view buys, and that's what they're wanting right now. So we know the finish, but do we know that it's going to be a great match? Yes. Are we going to tune in still? Yes, because we want to see it.
Yeah. KC?
I'm not comparing these two. So please, everybody out there in the ether, do not get this twisted. This is the same thing as Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes. And it's the same exact story setup. Oh, well, it's not for both belts and not changing. So like Bryce said, it's, what's going to happen. Having said that, I want to see it. It's been inevitable since Will got here. Like, he's already, I predicted, and I was upset that he actually won the international title, because I want this to be a world heavyweight championship. I want the world title to be on the line for this. I want this to start a feud, a rivalry. Maybe this is the seed of that, but again, I'm going to watch it because it's going to be great. But yeah, it's predictable.
Yeah, that's been the thing about Will Ospreay's matches, basically since he signed full time with the company, is that you know that you're essentially being guaranteed a match of the year contender, at the very least an honorable mention of some kind on just about everybody's list that puts them out. So yeah, we knew the Clash was coming. It's just, I don't know. I think that this would have been better for a Wembley build. That's just me. They're trying to repeat what they did last year, and create a main event.
It would be good for a Wembley build if Ospreay didn't have the international title. If he didn't have the international title, then we would be like, this is Ospreay's moment. He's about to take it. So, who's not to say we get this match is so good, we want to see it again. Will drops the international title at some point. To who? That's the only thing, because who on that roster can...
I have a theory. There's somebody who's just thrown off of an ambulance and is now asked for his release. So that could be someone who he loses an international title to.
But who... good. But who right now on the AEW roster could potentially take the title off Will for the Wembley to happen?
Yeah, nobody.
And there's... Right. Yeah. Nobody is on Will Ospreay's level. To me, and this is a very hot take. This is a very hot take. Will Ospreay is almost a level of Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit of today's generation, where we know we are going to get the best freaking match out of him, no matter where he is on the card, what night he's on, whether it's Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday. He is going to go out there and give us a complete banger that nobody else on the roster can follow. And that's just kind of my take with Will Ospreay. He's such a tricky talent because he's so damn good.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost otherworldly at times to watch him do things. As far as potential contenders for the international title, I would not rule out Bryan Danielson. We know that we're coming up to the end of the road here. I'm just saying, you just said name somebody who is on the same level as Will Ospreay right now, and I know he's banged up a little bit, but Bryan Danielson he fits that bill.
Gross. I love Bryan Danielson. I love Jon Moxley, but there's only so many times they can be shoved down my throat before I close the door.
That's how I feel about
what does an international title do for Danielson?
It's not more about what it would do for him, but like what he could do for helping to elevate that title. It's had a bit of a rocky lineage. I mean, it definitely had the injury bug attached to it. That's for sure. But now it's that would be a use of him.
I held that title? No, just kidding. That was a dad joke. That was horrible. I'm just trying to fill Chris's shoes.
You're filling the podcast dad spot. Yeah.
Right.
So
it's Danielson and Moxley are phenomenal. It's just AEW has used them so much to where I feel like, and the crowd, and every time I watch them come out, the crowd proves me wrong. But to me, I just don't see how using them so much like they have is, helpful in the long run. Every time they come out, I mean, the crowd goes nuts. So they prove me wrong on that. Yeah. The people prove me wrong. But at the same time, it's like, as a viewer at home, come on. There's only so many people I can see and beat.
Yeah. No, I get it for sure. But we do have a question in the chat here. I'm going to direct this to Bryce just because this individual. This is from Dom Stuckey. Do you think Will is now better than the 2016 to 2021 run of Kenny Omega?
Uh-oh.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
The question was so good.
Oh. I say we're hearing a little something there.
Clear, probably. Anyway, you're hooked up to my AirPods right now. If I'm not mistaken, in this run, Omega did run a heel. Correct. This whenever he was kind of doing the Impact stuff and everything like that.
Yeah.
Which it was COVID pretty much.
And that run with Okada, that trilogy.
Yeah, I would say
Omega had it just because Omega was more methodical and kind of story driven with the things that he was doing, especially like racking up all the titles, where Ospreay is out there for a ratings boost, and that's what I feel like they're using him as. They know he's going to put on a great match, and people are going to tune in. Omega, he put on the great matches, but his was also to build to a certain pay-per-view or a certain level of event to trigger those people to watch. Where Ospreay is, hey, you're going to see him work somebody on Wednesday night. I'm going to tune in for that match and then do whatever type deal.
Sure. One name that was also thrown out here, and this is by the podcast dad himself. Looks like he found a few minutes to sneak away, but Kyle Fletcher potentially going up against Ospreay for that international title. We know that there's that friction with the Don Callis family, and Ospreay hasn't necessarily fully severed ties with them yet. That could be a
great match, but that was his first
program.
match. Yeah. That was his first match, technically under AEW, wasn't it? Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We've already seen it.
That's fair. Also, I mean, again, all great points. That's
like,
and
maybe
that's
just
that's
it.
the worry too. Yeah.
We could put Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay and know that they'll give us a great match like they did, but it's like, is Kyle Fletcher on that level of beating Will Ospreay with how he's being used currently? Could they build him up to be that danger? Absolutely. Yeah. Could they do it? Because when's Wembley? August?
Yep.
They got a month and a half to make this man look like a monster and give me a reason to believe that he's going to be the best guy on your roster right now.
And he is the Ring of Honor television champion. So, I mean, you'd think that they could use that to their advantage, as far as also being a champion and, just basically having that insatiable thirst for gold. Podcast dad, we've seen Orton versus Cena 812 times. It's probably 813, but Ospreay and Fletcher for one more round, especially, seeds have already been sown. So that's how the podcast dad feels.
Yeah, but each match with Orton and Cena, they left something else in the wing for the next match. Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher went out there and put everything they had on the table.
Are we really comparing Fletcher to John Cena or Randy Orton right now? He should be. That's why he is at work, and he should be ashamed of himself. The king has
said it, buddy, not me.
Is that means for canceling the podcast, Dad?
Jesus. Well, if you had tuned into the show earlier, Hoops, you would have known that I asked that question.
Oh wow! And then I feel like this is very sarcastic here.
Oh, it is. It very much is.
How's overtime?
Got him. Anyway, gentlemen, that's enough talking about AEW. Let's move on over to WWE. Clash at the Castle is this weekend from Glasgow, Scotland. Let me get this card up here. It looks like we got a total of 5 matches overall. Before we get into our predictions here, I just want to ask each of you, and King, we'll start with you. Just give us something that you are enjoying about the lead up to this pay-per-view right now that WWE is doing.
The amount of stories I'm interested in. I mentioned that with AEW, the lack of stories is the problem, but I feel like I'm more invested in the promos than the wrestling right now because that enhances the story. And I don't know, it's just fun living 3 different things right now. The whole Liv and Judgment Day and my guy, Drew McIntyre, I love their dynamic, and we're going to get to that match, and I have a lot of thoughts and theories behind it. I love this Chad Gable, just psychotic mentality that he has, and just the manipulative way he's talking to Alpha Academy. I want that to have a payoff. I think I know where that's going, but I also like the Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. Like, they're going to put on another banger. I'm just excited to see that. Yeah. And just the storylines everywhere are lining up for this, and it's fun.
Gentlemen, breaking news. I hate to interrupt. He has decided to join us.
Someone took a break. Where do you work? Best Buy?
Don't ever attack me again. Don't do that. That was a genuine question on how the knee was.
Well, he made it seem like it was very, condescending.
But I'm on my phone. I want you guys to know I love you. I'm still
love you too.
I'm still watching, but I don't like this.
What? This is fun. Come on, don't act like this
we don't like you comparing Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay to Orton and Cena. Let's be honest.
Yeah, exactly. He knew he did something wrong.
You effed up. You effed up.
You know what? I also recall him giving me shit earlier this week because I mentioned how CM Punk and AJ Francis both similarly
Easy for you to say.
took shots.
Let's get the captions on that one and see what AI generates there.
Shit.
Anyway. Today, Junior.
Great movie. God damn. Okay. But yeah, Bryce, let me ask you, what are you liking about the build to this show right now, or at least WWE as a whole, what they're doing in this new era?
They're keeping you engaged. Okay, what's going to happen next with Liv and Dom? What Mark Henry-esque move is AJ Styles going to pull out next? What it's just a lot of things. And the thing I liked about the AJ Styles retirement gimmick is the fact that the moment he did it, you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
But then you're like, are they really going to do this? We all know it. We're all smarter than that. So they had you still, are we going to do that? But I'm just enjoying two Georgia boys going and main eventing around the world. And these are two guys that have wrestled in buildings that I've also wrestled in as they were coming up on the indies. Yeah. Landmark Arena, AJ Styles is synonymous for that. I've wrestled there. Cody Rhodes, Barnesville, Georgia Gymnasium. I've wrestled there under the WrestleAmerica banner, just like Cody Rhodes. So it's not like I'm like, oh my God, I'm related to these guys, but there's that Georgia bond there of just seeing these two guys like, damn, that could be me one day. Cody has a school right up the road from me, and it's just cool to know it's possible. So seeing that is just super cool. And then you've got the Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Is Judgment Day gonna F up again and cost Damian the match? Is it gonna be CM Punk coming and screwing Drew out again? Is it gonna be Liv and Dom who messed the match up for either competitor, really? It's just one of those things where I've got to watch to know what happens, and I feel like that is what wrestling should be. We're gonna watch for the 5-star matches, but I need to know what happens story-wise type deal.
Yeah. Well, let's just get right on into it, gentlemen. First up, we've got Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, the Super Tag Team, taking on Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, and Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, triple threat match for the Women's Tag Team Championships. King Chris, I'm going to start with you. Who you got? What are your thoughts on this match?
Well, why do we even have to have this match? We know who's going to win.
What is this, AEW?
Exactly. And it's the fact that they're trying to build up Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler to be these badasses. Okay, well, do I really believe they're badasses and are going to beat the superheroes we have right now? No, I don't believe that at all. And I feel like the other tag team was just thrown in there because they needed something else. So we talk about this, and we talked about this while I've been on. What's the point of the women's tag team right now? Who is a viable team that could A, beat Bianca and Jade, and B, put some prestige on it? I don't see right now. It's just that place.
Chelsea and Piper.
I thought they would have been a great addition into there, especially with Piper going back home to Scotland. I think that could have been something and creating a feud between it, but they didn't. Obviously, they have the Bayley match coming up, and it's just inevitable to me. And I don't see them breaking up Jade and Bianca, so keep the run going. Just have them winning. That's my first 2 cents of the night.
Okay. Bryce, I'm assuming that you want Fire and Dawn to win.
Yeah. I would love it for an upset because aren't they Scottish as well? Or
they are, yeah.
Yeah. So that's how they got in the match. They want that hometown pop for those young, female talent there. But yeah, Jade and Bianca is they're newly tag team champions still, and they're head and shoulders above the rest of everybody. Granted, Chelsea and Piper are not on the level of Bianca and Jade when it comes to physique, when it comes to power, but just the dynamic of Chelsea and Piper and the reaction that they get from the crowd. It just makes sense to me. Like, nobody's going to believe that Chelsea would beat Bianca, but if Chelsea pinned Bianca, good God, could you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, it would just be TV for weeks and weeks and weeks. But I mean, yeah, I mean, this one is just a very it's to cover Jade, I believe, with her being so green, which is why we're getting so many women in the match. But it's Bianca and Jade's match to win.
Yeah, and I will say that's one thing that kind of gives me concern about WWE right now is for everything that they're doing right. It seems like certain championships, they've got a dominant or a great champion either holding the title, but then they don't know kind of what's going to come next as far as who's going to take that mantle off of them. Like, again, when we'll look at women's tag team titles. I mean, realistically, I don't think there's anybody on that roster, at least not right now, that I'm believing is going to beat those two in a straight up one-on-one tag team match. We'll see kind of what happens after the WWE Championship and whether Cody moves on to potentially program with Randy or what. But it does seem like there has been that issue of, who's going to be next? And maybe this is, a blessing in disguise that this TNA partnership is starting to come to fruition, because Cody's already teased that more than one locker room will be present next week to try to compete for a shot at the NXT title. Hopefully we'll see a little bit more of that to build this relationship. But I also agree, Bianca and Jade. I'm going to enjoy this run while it lasts. This team is eventually going to blow up, but I have no idea who's going to beat them.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, you just mentioned like they kind of put the titles on people and then don't really know what's coming next. I mean, WWE's so smart company. They've been around for years and years. They know what they're doing. And I mean, we've heard it on documentaries and things like that. So it's no secret. I'm not pulling the curtain back too much. But even like on the indies, we book backwards. We have a finish going into whatever we know. So they know who's going to take the titles off of it. But it just seems at times, like you're saying, it's, what are we doing? We're just throwing matches just because we need to have this title on this pay-per-view type deal. So I completely get that. But so I don't know. Maybe they're trying something new with the industry. Maybe they're booking forwards and then backwards, and we'll see what happens there. But it's also wrestling. It's shit's going to change on you. Yeah. So, so who knows?
Spoken like a guy that pinned Chelsea Green's husband.
We're not going to talk about that.
All right. Next up, Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, Intercontinental Championship. Probably one of the most emotionally gut-wrenching stories that WWE has right now. Sami just continues to be the best that he's ever been. Chad Gable, it seems like they have finally got something that has clicked, and he is officially no longer Shorty G. Shorty G is officially dead, buried, done. This is a new sadistic, just a real asshole. And I'm a fan of it. I'm definitely a fan of it. Bryce, who you got here, man?
This is a situation where my heart's telling me one thing, but my body's telling me another. The heart wants Chad Gable to win it.
Yep.
But I just know old Otis is going to snap and let Sami win it. And I hate it. I want my boy Gable to win so bad. But
okay,
on the bright side, Gable does win. There's Otis and Gable storyline there. But it's going to be Sami's for the taking, and Otis finally hitting Gable on purpose this time.
King?
I'm going with your heart and saying Chad's winning this and Gable's taking the title. I see the setup perfectly that Otis is conflicted at the end of the match and he doesn't know whether he should go here or go there. And Chad wins and kind of throws it in Sami's face. Otis, at the end of the match, once Chad wins it, turns on him. and then that sets up the program to SummerSlam. And that I see it, I close my eyes and I envision it. I just think right now, if you don't give Chad the title, what's the point of all this? We need to validate his, as Kendrick Lamar would put it, his master manipulating, and he needs to have something behind it to hold over everybody. Because right now it's just psychologically, he needs that tangible item to say, I know what I'm doing. You guys are nothing without me. And I think that's going to make Otis snap and take it. So I see it. And I again, my heart wants it. So I'm going with my heart on this.
And I pray that is what happens. It's just Triple H is a Sammy guy.
He is. I mean, he definitely is. But I have to agree with the King here. I think that Chad gets the W. I have been waiting for Chad Gable to hold the Intercontinental title since WrestleMania. We didn't get it. That's okay. This has turned into a much better story with a much larger payoff. Otis versus Gable would be a fun SummerSlam match. I mean, I'm a little biased because I'm going to be there. But
yeah, sick invite.
Right. Do we not get like comp tickets for this? Doing this?
Real.
Is this like a Wrestling Junkies like business trip?
I thought we were preferred guests, Bryce. Like I thought we were going to be treated like the royalty that we are, and apparently not. But
okay.
All right, it's been real, guys.
Thank you.
See y'all next week. No,
but
so I do have a genuine question.
Yeah.
So, is it fair to say that the champions that we have now are the ones that were crowned or still champion from WrestleMania?
Let's see.
Is that right? Has anything changed since WrestleMania?
No. So 4 of those
is
5,
Is it too early to start swapping titles? Is also the other thing in the back of my head.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming off of a 4-year Roman Reigns title run, a 2-year Gunther IC title run. We know Triple H is a guy of history and likes to kind of have those types of reigns, but I just think, I mean, that's one thing if you do it in NXT, but I think that because the main roster is much larger and there's, again, monthly pay-per-views to meet, that, there has to be that spontaneity built in. It's funny because, as I look at this card, 4 people from Scotland are on this card. 3 of them don't have a shot at walking out with a championship on Saturday. The one that does, even that is still really, really iffy because we're still waiting to see if a certain straight edge superstar also makes the trip over to be a disruptor. But yeah, I would say, the occasional short title reign is good if you tell the right transitional story, I think.
Yeah, we're coming off this period of those long title reigns. And just going back to when I first started watching wrestling, it may not have been the greatest, but I loved seeing the title switch hands because you got different personalities into that belt. I know it towards the end of the Vince era, it was hot potato, and it was we need this. It was the Jinder Mahal. It was we won't talk about that, but it just changed hands so often that we wanted to see it. I kind of want to go back. I want to see other people have it. Like there are deserving people on the roster that need the title. Yeah. My question is, speaking of long range off of this, have they dragged the Otis turn out too long?
I don't think that they have. I think, especially because we heard that pop 2 weeks ago when he did get into Gable's face, it's only going to be louder once that he has finally made that decision to turn against them. We also have Alpha Academy Diamond Mine, Creed Brothers waiting in the wings there that Gable could align himself with, like people that have that edge and that intensity that he's trying to bring out of Alpha Academy. Mm-hmm. And that sets up the tag team program for them because they were white hot at the start of their run. And then next thing we know, they're just kind of off the face of the planet and kind of doing the backstage vignettes here and there. But there's so many different ways that they can take with this that I don't think they need to have Otis necessarily make the turn this weekend. The larger payoff will indeed be there. So that's my thoughts on it. Bryce is having some technical issues right now. So the King. Oh, okay. Yeah, we hear you. We can't see you.
What?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, can't. I would just say, yeah, just close back out of your browser, pop back in, and we'll let you back. Oh, there we go.
There we
Got
go.
it. All right. Cool.
We back? We
All
good?
right, yep.
Now the mic's not working.
Now the mic's up. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think we got you now. No, we got you. Say something else.
Jeez. Hey.
Yep. There we got you. Okay. That works. Yeah.
This is why I need an assistant.
Damn it, we
This
lost.
is why
There
I
we go.
need-
There we go. Got yeah.
I need an
And
assistant.
yeah. No. Yeah. Well, interns are the podcast dad's purview, and he's not here, so
I have a kingdom of peasants helping me, so I can't really complain.
I heard you
fair.
guys talk about the
fair.
Creed brothers. Do you think they come out and maybe attack Otis or something right before he does the official turn on Gable? I don't
I'd
see
like
that
to see it.
happening, but yeah, I mean, I think it would be an interesting turn of events there to kind of, spice things up a little bit. That way Otis doesn't technically have to do the turn, but
Yeah.
Chad Gable just kind of went ahead and pulled the switch anyways.
Yeah, because I mean, you could also get, I don't necessarily see the Creed brothers or Alpha Academy qualifying for any of the Money in the Bank ladder matches, but you could put them on a tag team match, whether it's a pre-show or something on the undercard in Canada. Would be fun just to get some more life out of that feud, and it sets Creed brothers up to be successful because we see the heat that and I almost called him Kurt Angle too. That's the heat that he has right now.
Mhm.
That another Team Angle type team is just what we need in WWE right now. So I that's where I'm hoping that this goes. Get a couple of tag team matches out of them, and then we'll get the eventual Otis and Gable payoff, I think. But next up we have Bayley taking on Piper Niven, WWE Women's Championship. Gentlemen, I'll be honest with you. I have not been the biggest fan of this title run for Bayley, and she's deserved so much more. It just seems like she was one of the women's won the Rumble, but seemed like an afterthought at times in some of the press that they would do as far as the build to that match, and then finding credible challengers for her going forward has been difficult. I mean, we are noticing the effects of Becky Lynch not being there. We're noticing the effects of Charlotte Flair. Still trying to make her way back to the ring. It's just tough. Asuka's out right now too. I mean, there's so many different things.
All
that are
these
just kinda
knee
happening
injuries
right
that's just
Yeah.
affecting the wrestling business.
Yeah, it's a travesty.
Contagious.
I mean, yeah, it's
We need better.
yeah.
Oh God!
But there you go.
This guy.
I'm coming up with knee puns for merch.
I like it.
And I hate myself for it.
Oh, you hate yourself for making money. Got it. Yeah.
I ain't made money off of it yet.
Hey, again, yet. But yeah, Bryce, we'll start with you. What do you think of the build to this, and who you got?
Bailey, just because I don't see them putting the belt on Piper when her and Chelsea, even though they're not the most predominant female tag team, they're still very well liked as a tag team. And I think it would just throw a wrench in the plans if Piper were to get the title. However, if Piper did get the title, I would love it because Chelsea is right there in line to get that title shot, if not get the title, which I think would be entertaining. I mean, all around. And it's like you said, I mean, the build to this just hasn't been much. So it's kind of this is a popcorn match. But I must say Bailey, just because there's really no sustenance to this.
Yeah, for sure. King?
Agreed. I am excited to see the crowd reaction for Piper. I think it's going to be crazy. You mentioned they're a great tag team. I can see the world. I mean, I still go back to the Royal Rumble, when their spots in the Royal Rumble, and how good Chelsea was in her crazy, funny, silly spots, and just getting worked by everybody in there. And I see that happening on a tag team, but actually falling down and getting the pin when it falls down and I just see that. I don't understand how they could fumble the Bailey bag so badly. From NXT having arguably one of the greatest women's matches of all time at NXT TakeOver, and how they can take the female version of John Cena and just the appeal of that and just not care, and just the fumbles along the way. It's so disrespectful. I feel so disrespected as a person who watches and is invested in all those NXT champions and legends from following them. It's a personal.
Do you blame creative or do you blame the champion? Because I've seen it to where, like on the indies, for say, I mean, we try to do stories on the indies. I've seen it to where talent will get something handed to them and they just completely just drop the ball. Me personally, hot take, I've never been a Bailey fan. I've never seen I just don't get it, me personally. Yeah. Sure, she's a great person, but me personally, I don't get it. So me seeing her have a, for better words, lackluster title reign doesn't surprise me. Like, if she was still doing her, wacky inflatable waving arm two-man gimmick, I'm all for it. But this new character, like the role model and everything, and it's not really a new character, but it just doesn't work for me. Yeah. And I don't know what it is. Like, and I mean, yeah, creative definitely has a part in that, of maybe she's taking, chicken shit and making chicken salad with it. But at the same time, it's like, is she really?
Just piggybacking off of that, I think it's a thing of creative, and she's just not taking her own reins of it. And you see with a lot of the stars, they ask, let me get 5 minutes on the mic. I just need to say what I feel and connect. I think she's just too by the book, and this is what I've been giving. This is what I have to say. These are the cues that I have to follow. And it comes off as insincere and not connecting. And the role model, it's a good idea, but again, it doesn't resonate. So,
Well, and so this is I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but this is peeling the curtain back a lot. So when I was backstage at Raw as an extra, we were in like the little extra booth or whatever, and just hearing and this was before WrestleMania, just hearing Sami Zayn talk to one of the uppers about his potential storyline and just how much passion that he put into what he was expressing to said person was crazy to me. It's like, okay, they gave him something that even I would kind of be like, I don't know if I really want to do that. But he made it so intriguing and so just relatable. And then watching it play out on the television to where he made it his own was insane to me. And I personally am one of those who, I'm not the biggest Sami Zayn fan either. But after seeing that and just seeing how much he actually put into what he was saying and how he wanted the story to play out in his head when he was ultimately getting the crappy end of the stick that night was amazing to me. And I wonder if it's like you're saying, if she's just kind of not doing that. Like if she's not giving her 2 cents. Because I feel like Bailey is one of those people in the locker room that's like Sami Zayn, where her opinion would matter if she's saying it. If she's not, I can't say if she is or not, but I feel like if she were to say, hey, well, here's what I have in mind, I feel like they would, okay, let's hear you out. Because that's just the type of booker that we all know that Triple H is, just by, being around, reading the tabloids and everything like that. But sorry for the sidebar, but that was just kind of my thought process when you mentioned that there.
No, it's all good. I think, in the spirit of everybody giving hot takes, I think that, I still see Bailey winning this. This isn't going to be the hot take, but I think that they're getting her ready, that Nia Jax takes that title off of her at SummerSlam. I think that this second Nia Jax run has been incredible compared to the first. And I think that that's where we're going with this. Nia Jax will be women's champion by the end of the summer.
I will root for Bailey in that situation. Please, God, no.
Gentlemen, we are at our main events now. First up, we've got Damian Priest taking on Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. The build to this has been up and down, at least for me anyway. The Judgment Day involvement with Liv, and Liv kind of just basically saying, I am coming back for everything that has ever belonged to Rhea Ripley. Loving that story here. Is this larger Judgment Day story clouding the quality of Damian Priest's first world title run? And King Chris, I'll start you off with this.
Yes, it is, because I hate to sound like a mark. It is a distraction for him. I mean, you see it in all the promos where he's coming in late, or people are just talking and something's happening over here and it's just not being respected because he has his own obligations. He's doing a lot of press, and the Judgment Day is just sitting there. This is setting up for the Crumble, and this is setting up for that. I think it distracts for that storyline on just how good Drew is, and how good Drew is making this something and trying to take it back. I don't know. You may not like the build, and Bryce, you may feel it. I think this is great. I see so many outcomes of this match, and all of them are plausible. All of them can happen. And I'll give my take and who I think is going to win after that. But agreed. I think this Judgment Day storyline has taken away from him, and it's all about Dom and Liv. It's not about elevating the championship. He should be running this, but he's not. So that gives me the idea that there's going to be a change here.
Okay. Bryce?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's totally overshadowing. And I don't mean to discredit Damian because he can say he's a world champion, but he's only champion because of the CM Punk Drew McIntyre feud. And if we're looking at it, does the CM Punk Drew McIntyre feud cloud this match in Scotland? Because everybody's wanting to see CM Punk.
Yeah.
However, does WWE throw CM Punk out there in Drew's hometown and risk him getting booed? That's the other. I mean, granted, America and the rest of the fans will be like, "Oh hell yeah!" But if you've got an arena full of however many thousands of people booing the guy that you're trying to make the babyface in the situation, it's not a good look. But like you said, there's so many outcomes to this match that could play out. It's almost bringing me back to Roman and Cody. Yeah. What's going to happen? What's going to play out? I feel like Damian's coming out on top of this one, but it's not going to be because of Damian was able to beat Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, this is one, and Chris and I have gone back and forth many times on our show about this, as far as whether that feud between Punk and McIntyre actually needs the world title because of how personal that it was. I still say that it doesn't. But this is all part of what I'm enjoying about Raw right now, is that we're looking at Priest, McIntyre, Punk, Gunther. There's a handful of people that are clear contenders for the title. Gunther's got the only guaranteed shot right now at SummerSlam. But it's different than what we're seeing on SmackDown, as far as it's just kind of one by one, program by program for Cody Rhodes, as opposed to kind of what we're used to seeing, especially as we grew up in the Attitude Era, is more than one person wanting to go for that world title at a time. And I'm absolutely loving that. But I don't like how Priest is coming off as behind the eight ball, so to speak, as far as everything that's going on with Judgment Day and trying to balance everything,
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's a paper champion,
sure,
but he's also keeping that belt warm for Gunther at SummerSlam, which is why I say that he is going over in this match over Drew, because Drew versus McIntyre is going to happen at SummerSlam. He should be cleared by then. And like you said, it doesn't need a title, because what are they going to do? Put it on Punk and then what, But I think the story is make it to SummerSlam with Gunther and Priest, McIntyre, and Punk. and
Okay.
that all sets up today, or to whatever the day is.
Yeah.
At the pay-per-view, PLE, excuse me.
So sounds like consensus all around with Damian Priest walk. Oh, okay.
Au contraire,
okay.
mon frère. I
All right.
don't see a world. We've seen this with the other PLEs that have gone abroad. The hometown champion, the country native, one of them wins. None of them, all of them don't lose. So we saw it in Australia. Nia Jax didn't win. Rhea did. We saw it in Puerto Rico. We saw it in France. We see the main people they want to see win. And I can't see Drew McIntyre going into his home country losing, especially when he lost at Clash of the Castle the way he did to Roman. Like, if that happens again, they will riot. Like, I don't know if you've seen European soccer or European basketball crowds. They will start a riot. And I don't think that will happen. But I just see the stipulation is that Judgment Day is not ringside. Liv is not Judgment Day. So I think she's going to distract. And then the whole thing with the hotel key card with Finn Balor, and then Dom's going to come out I think there's going to be too much of a distraction for Damian Priest. I just think that he's going to
CM Punk isn't Judgment Day either.
Exactly.
No.
But I will say Drew has been distracted enough. This is that time when he has learned from it and won't be distracted and will finish the job and get that final kick to get the 1, 2, 3. I think this is his moment. I think he was robbed of it a little bit at WrestleMania. I think he was robbed of it at the last Clash of the Castle. This is his moment.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to win this. And
All
this
that
is genuine thoughts.
All that I ask is that I hope that whoever is in that production truck does not make me listen to Drew McIntyre singing with Tyson Fury in the ring ever again. I don't need that again.
You didn't like that?
I did not.
I went back this week and rewatched it. It was great.
Of course you did. Gentlemen, it's main event time. Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles for the undisputed WWE Championship. The retirement angle has certainly divided some fans, certainly has on this podcast. We've already talked about the angle a little bit, but Bryce, I'm going to start with you. Where's your head at with this match, and who's your pick?
Cody. I don't see AJ going over. I don't see Cody Rhodes ending his title reign without facing Randy Orton. And that's just kind of where my head's at. With an I Quit match, I'm kind of excited to see where they go with it, what links they do, whether Gallows and Anderson get involved, what is going to happen with this. But ultimately, I see Cody retaining.
Okay. Your Highness.
I want a swerve so bad. I want the swerve so bad. I want one more final AJ Styles run as the champion because I enjoyed it when he was the champion.
Yeah, it was great.
But like Podcast Dad says here, Randy, Cody, SummerSlam, does that need a title? That's a legit question.
No.
I don't think that needs a title.
I think it does because Randy would be the one to beat Cody, and then he would be tied with Cena and Flair.
Not quite, though. He'd be at 15 if he wins. 15?
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, he would be on his way to Cody and Cena and Flair.
Yeah, and like heel Randy, we haven't seen it in a while, and now that like Randy's like legit just having fun and wrestling again, like that would be a balls to the wall heel Randy Orton for the build to this. So, I would prefer it as a title match, but do I think they need it? No, but I think it's likely going to have that storyline implication there. Mostly just because as great as Randy has been during this return, he's so much better as a heel. And I'd like to see what he does with especially this new, up and coming roster that we have right now and what he can do to elevate them, on that side of the fence. I'm also going to say Cody Rhodes. King, did I get your pick yet?
Nah, it's going to be Cody.
Yeah.
But I'm just worried about the I quit. I can't see either of them saying I quit. So That's my only hang up there. So again, it's going to be intriguing. I'm going to watch it, but I will say, I will ask this question: is this the main event? Is this the final match on the card? Because quite frankly, the title behind you, Mr. Simpson, not that mid-card loser title, but the one next to it, that is more important to me right now. That this show should highlight that. And
would you leave my Bengals out of this, please?
I'm just saying.
I think they'll end with Cody and AJ just because of the weight Cody holds for the company, unfortunately. But I feel like they should end it with Damian and McIntyre. However, if they do end with McIntyre Damian, does that give the finish away?
That's a good point.
If my prediction goes correctly, will the crowd be so hot for that it'll take away from the Cody match? We saw it with I'm not comparing it to Hogan Rock and then the main event after it at 18, but I think their conquering hero winning would take away that steam that they have for the end of the match.
Yeah.
The Booker mindset in me is ultimately they're going to send the crowd home happy. They're pissed about McIntyre losing. Here comes Cody with the win. Send the crowd home happy, singing the Cody Rhodes song. That's my take, unfortunately.
But he's the American Nightmare, not the Scottish Nightmare. You have the Scottish Psychopath.
He's not the French Nightmare either. He was over like Rover there.
It's the French. We don't care about the French.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
this show has officially gone off the rails now. But no, this is gonna be a damn good show this weekend. Cannot wait to watch it. I'll be watching it on my phone as I get fitted for a wedding I'm in.
Congratulations.
No. F that. No. But gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. As always, it is just a pleasure to shoot the shit and hang out with you guys. And thank you to everybody that's been watching this evening. This is definitely a bit of a longer episode than we usually do, but I think it was absolutely worth every second. No. Don't say sorry. Don't say sorry. I mean,
well, it's funny. There was a freedom here. I don't know what it was, but there wasn't something holding us back this time around. So I can't put my finger on it.
I thought the bug kind of popped in for a minute, but luckily it got shooed away. So
yeah, that's the reason why you had camera trouble. Just the energy around it messed up everything. Right. So it was a pleasure.
It absolutely was. Gentlemen, cannot wait to have you both back on soon. This is a fun little trio that we had here. Maybe if that bug comes back, then we'll all have some fun.
The old Best Buy bug.
Well, that's going to do it for us tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, make sure that you are following the Main Event Wrestling Network at @mainevent_net on all social media platforms. Please hit that QR code in the top corner and like, share, subscribe, follow us on our journey. We have a great interview dropping tomorrow with Robert Martyr. Cannot wait for you guys to check that out. And a few surprise guests lined up for next week. Can't wait to announce those this weekend as well. But gentlemen, thank you once again for King Chris, for the Frat Daddy, Bryce Cannon, and Mr. Cincinnati. And this has been the Wrestling Junkies Podcast. We'll talk to you guys soon.